right, all. We are attempting a variation, not an exact copy, of the watercolor technique. I've never done this before. This is the first time. I have weighed out my base colors. They already have the lye in them, so we're good to go there. And I've got one other thing I need to do. I need some glovies. Just a sec. So where did the preposterous idea to try something I've never tried before come from? It came from that. This is a soap bar that I got as part of the subscription club from the soap artist, also known from Jen's Handmade Soaps. I adore this, and it was it was for a watercolor challenge with the Soap Challenge Club, and this was a winner. I'm so grateful that I was the one selected to get the one with the squirrel, because if you watch her video, which I will link up here at the top of the screen, you'll notice that the squirrel's the only one. So you know exactly which bar came to Colorado. Thank you so much, Jen. Really, really appreciate it. Now, we are not going to be doing, as I said, the real full watercolor technique. I'm a hobbyist here. None of this is truly for retail sale. I have one mold. That's it, just one. So I had to fake the second one. It is just a bread loaf pan with plastic wrap in it. It's not going to be the final structure in any way. It's just a means of how this technique gets the colors mixed the way they need to be mixed. It's a lard-based recipe. There's plenty of lard-based recipes online. This one is lard, rice bran oil, coconut oil, yada yada. And the scent is going to be Fleur de Blonde. In fact, I used it all because this is going to be something of a Valentine's Day soap. So I've got that. Colors I'm going to use. Sparkle Sunshine. It's a really, really pretty gold color. And then two other iridescent colors, both also from Mad Micas, Flash Dance and Harold's Purple Crayon. It's actually the first time I've used this one. It's got kind of a neat little sheen to it. It kind of goes with a neat little sheen for the pink too. So pink, purple, gold, and 50% white. So this uses an ombre pour, which I am still attempting to master. That's a main reason why I chose this particular one. All of these have been there's lye in the soap, that's what I'm trying to say. But they haven't really been stick blended very hard. So I can get the colors in, I can stir them, and I can start putting them in here. But I've got one more thing I need to do. Before we pour the colors, I'm going to put a little bit in here because these little hearts I'm going to stick to the outside of the soap as kind of an embellishment. So I'll mix a color, fill in. I need 10 of these with each color, and then I will go ahead and continue doing the pour. All right, let's get the color mixed in. This is titanium dioxide, and we're just going to give that a good stir, being very careful because, you know, this little pot is quite full. We did reach emulsion, and I'm not after stark white because this is going to be used with ombre, so you know, it's really just meant to lighten the colors as we go. So I'm not using a tremendous amount of titanium dioxide. Plus, I've learned titanium dioxide can cause something called glycerin rivers. So I haven't really paid too much attention to that. We'll go from there. I used this gold in a melt and pour soap that hadn't yet reached full, well, it was still quite liquid. It wasn't reaching that point where it was getting warm yet, and all the glitter in it sunk to the bottom. Luckily, with a ombre, you're stirring it almost continuously in between each, so I'm not too worried about that here. I've used this pink a few times. Also with a melt and pour project that I did recently. I liked it a lot. I teamed it with a peppermint and whoo, it got strong. Not as dark as I would like. We have to revisit this and do some color correction before we start ombreing here. But let's get to the purple first. By the way, this was half of a teaspoon because the amount of oil in this purple and pink is less than 300 grams. So I didn't want to overwhelm it, but if I have to add more, I have to add more. Just keep on stirring here. That's kind of more of a gray than a purple, isn't it? I'm not sold on these two colors, so I'm going to do everything that they tell you never to do. I'm going to add more straight to the oils. Now they do this, they say this, oh, don't do this, because it's going to put chunks into your soap. As much as we have to stir it for an ombre, the hope would be that it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Still, you never know. See if we can get it darker. And because there isn't as much in here, I can be a little bit more aggressive with my stirring. Get as much of these chunkies out as I can. One thing I've also noticed about some of this, when you go to C-pop it, the color you get isn't always the color you see right this minute in this bowl. You're not wrong. I hear you out there. You could be saying, get your Bell mixer out, your immersion blender. Yeah, you're right, I could do that too. And I may need to. You guys may be onto something. All right, but I do like the color better. I'm not sold on the purple yet, but I do like the color better. So kudos and bonus to that. I think I'm actually happy with where it's at. Okay, so the order I have chosen to go is I'm going to start with the pink, go to white, then I'm going to do the gold, go to white, and then I'm going to do the purple. Yeah, look at that. That's already starting. And not quite to light trace yet. I mean the faintest of light trace, but we're getting there. So happy with that. All righty. Shall we? Shall we? Okay, so remember the first thing I said was I'm going to do hearts first. That's over here. I can move this. Yeah, you can see I'm using a little stand there. And while this is super liquid, I'll go ahead and pour a couple of hearts. If I do a couple of each of these three colors, oh, let's do 3. Then I will have one of a different color to put on each one. Just like that. Okay. We are going to set the gold back here. We are starting with pink. Now, rough surface, I know, especially compared to this. If I can get another one of these, this wouldn't be an issue. But for right now, the only thing I wanted to make sure of is 1, the soap was not touching metal because it can cause rancidity and the dreaded orange spots that way. And 2, I wanted to make sure that this was bigger than that because my recipe is actually for a little bit oversized so I can mound it really well. And so I wanted to make sure that I had enough here. Plus I know I'm going to have some loss to the creaks and crevices of the plastic wrap. I know that. I get that. I've planned for it. The other thing you want to make sure you're doing when you're doing ombres, that I've learned, is pour more out than you're adding in with white, or else you will never get through this bucket. Make sure your ratios are what you think they should be. Stir, stir, stir. I told you there was a lot of stirring with ombres, didn't I? And we are going to call this one good out of this tub. Nicely done, nicely done. Get that out of our way. Okay. Little bit of white. I'm starting to get to the edge here, so I'm going to have to lower my angle a touch. Anybody guess what I have completely forgotten about? You guys are probably shouting it out of the screen. There will be no fragrance in the pinks. Bummage, bummage. I've done that before. Don't worry, the whole bar is not going to kill anything, and I'm not worried about it at all. So don't you be worried about it either. It is what it is. So that gives you an idea of what the gold looks like on the bar. Stir, 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 stir. I am perfectly happy with how this is going to smell. I'm not the least bit worried about missing an entire color of scent. But I also did miss the little guys here. Come on, fill it in, fill it in. Okay, there we go. Oh. Okay. Stir, 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 stir. It's actually the same color. Oh, the cool part about this hobby, not that it makes a mess, which as you can see it absolutely does, is that you can make mistakes. And to borrow from the immortal Bob Ross, they're nothing but happy little accidents. Don't fret it. It's just soap. However, soap is also chemistry. You should always be aware of that. And sometimes it's in screwing up the chemistry where we get into trouble. Ombre is such a neat thing. I tried it once earlier. I'll have a bar coming available. I actually failed to the point where I had to rebatch it. It could have been better. Okay, we're getting awfully close to the edge here, so I'm going to tip it just a little bit more. You want to say this is, lame duck hobby? Oh my God, this is horrible. Okay, go for it. But you know what? We all started somewhere. And all we have to do is learn from our mistakes. But you know what? If we don't even try, it's not possible to make any mistakes. So therefore, no learning occurs. All right, this one is done. So this will be the last pour out of this one. Okay, I'm trying to scrape left-handed. I'm right-handed, so if it looks like I'm super awkward and shaking, it is because I'm not using my dominant hand. Oopty. Okay, color number 2, down. Gotta love that. Oh, purple. That's what I'm gonna remember this time. And we're gonna put some in here too. Alrighty, get this a good stir. And we're also not going to forget our little hearts. Ombre, oh, this one ain't gonna be gradual, is it? Oh well, you'll get a chance to see it. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right. Yeah, I know I pulled some purple in here, but it's not much. But I wanted to get the fragrance oil. Also, contained within that fragrance oil as well, you guys may have guessed it already, sodium lactate. Just a salt. If I remember correctly, it's actually made from the sugar beet processing industry. So right now, what I'm attempting to do, and if you were going to try this too, what you're probably attempting to do, is to balance how much purple can I use, or white can I use, to balance out the purple so that I don't have a whole bunch of purple left. It's all one color. Look, if you've got a trick for that, please tell me in the comments. a bit. Sorry, I gotta switch hands. Woo! And this is it with what we're going to generously call white. I did use deodorized cocoa butter in this one. Again, just trying to maintain the white. It kind of was intentional. It kind of is not. The intentionality in that comes from another bar that I'm kind of halfway in the process of making right now. Because that one is going to have quite a bit of yellowing from the fragrance oil. And so I thought, well, I'll try to get it every chance I can to stay as white as I can get it. Because I really do want a white base on that one. I've never seen anybody pour on plastic wrap. I'm sure there's a reason for it that I'm about to learn. But since this is not a mold, this is just a very, very elaborate way to do mixing. I'm not fretting about it too much. Okay. At this point, we're going to let this sit till it's about the consistency of scoopable ice cream. Then we'll take spoonfuls, put it into our actual mold, and that is how we're going to get the watercolor effect. I will talk to you about this more when this reaches scoopability. Welcome back, everybody. So this has been sitting now for, I want to say 15 minutes, possibly approaching 20. We're going to give it a little test. The idea is that we're just going to use this spoon. You can see I've already tested it just a tiny bit. And we're going to just plop it. And then we're going to shake it. So plop and shake. The rule of thumb on this is don't think about it too much. You're after an effect, not anything precise. And I can see that I may have to plop some and then come back later. Can you see how it's kind of runny? And we'll get this like so. We're just going to set that right there. Okay, keep on going. Boy, this really, really is just like scooping half-melted ice cream. However, the pink hasn't set up enough. And I can tell you exactly why. Experienced soapers can probably yelling at me exactly why. You forgot the fragrance oil! Yeah. There's the impact. I'm not terribly worried about it. The effect seems to be happening as advertised. And on I Dream in Soaps video, she actually referenced this exact same thing, although she didn't forget her fragrance oil. And she said that it was actually okay that the one color was a bit runny because it filled in the gaps, the air holes in here. So hey, maybe I did myself a solid. Oh my, that's where it's going to get difficult with the plastic wrap. I got to get a second mold. Certainly not ready for a slab mold yet. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to let this set up a little bit more, and then I'm going to keep going. But I think you can see we're starting to get some of that watercolor effect, which is like really cool. Okay, back in, let's do another 10 minutes. And we're back. So one additional thing I did to this was I popped it in the fridge for that 10-minute wait. The idea there being that, well, maybe that'll help it harden up a little bit faster. And look at that. It did. That's just about perfect. And scooping and plopping. Scooping and plopping. I think I said at the beginning of the video when I was explaining the poor choice of usage of the plastic wrap here, I was going to lose a lot of my batter to the crinkles and creases. Son of a gun if I wasn't right. But you know, I am okay. It's soap. It looks like it's turning into a beautiful bar. And I have no problem with that whatsoever. Okay. We have enough to do a little decoration. And I'm not sure if we can do it yet. But the idea being this classic one. Oh, look at that. I watched so many YouTubers as I was picking up this hobby fret over the smallest details. And I knew I probably wasn't going to be among them. I mean, yeah, okay, if I'm doing something for resale, I could see that being a cause for a few OMG moments. But, you know, if it's not, if it's just for you and your friends are just going to appreciate the effort that you put in. They're not necessarily going to ding you on every single little thing. Now, you Facebook commenters or YouTube commenters, one and the same, I bet you're going to. But I know my friends will be just as happy getting a handmade loaf as anybody else. Okay, so the plan for the hearts. I mean, obviously, they aren't done yet. So I can't exactly just, plop them on the top like a lot of people do with their embeds. Actually wasn't my plan, or else I would have made them a while back. I'll tell you what, you're just going to have to wait and see what I choose to do with those. But I will tell you, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. And when we get to the cut, then you will see what my intention for those is. A cut coming to you tomorrow. All right, you ready to see it? You ready? You ready? You ready? You ready? Ta-da! Look at that. I think I got the watercolor effect. Bottom of it's been sitting on some things. There's that end. And the top. Now, this is worth mentioning. The normal watercolor now has you coming in and slicing it this way, coming down the loaf like so, and creating these and then chopping your bars that way. I'm not to the point yet where I'm really that great at knowing when a regular bar versus another is, but more importantly, my cutter does not cut that way. My cutter is not one of the slab cutters, so I'm not going to do that particular step of a watercolor. That's why I said that this one is inspired by the watercolor technique, but it would not be a duplicate of the watercolor technique. Now, before I start whooping this one up, I want to go ahead and bevel it to clean up some of these rough edges here. It is far easier to bevel it when it is still in loaf form than it is to do so when it's cut into individual bars. So give me a moment to do that. Sometimes I wish I had a multi-bar cutter. Sometimes I don't. Okay, I'm going to try this one up. The first time I do this, I do one, it's just to take the end off. And it's about 1/4 inch in size. This becomes a tester bar. Or I can use it as a sample bar if I wanted to. Ready? You ready? You ready? Oh, check that out! Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Got a dollop of gold there. The pink shows up. The purple with its ombre effect. Oh, that is so pretty. All right, let's keep cutting. My bars are currently set to 1.25 inches. Okay. Oh, a little bit more gold on the bottom there. Gold there. You're going to see everything's going to move around, which means no bar is going to be the same. All right, so let's set that there. Oh, I did not anticipate that. You can go trying to set that up. It didn't work. All right, next bar. Pretty. I have to admit, I wasn't too sure about my color choices, but personally, I'm happy with them. Okay, there we go. Almost looks like a teacup and a saucer, doesn't it? Okay. There we go. Very different that time. Now I got a saucepan. Oh, the things you find. Okay. There we go. Typically out of my loaves, I get 9 bars at this width. Ooh, that one's really pretty. Okay. I get 9 bars. I'm sorry, that was what I was saying. Plus the ends. Ends are either for personal use or for testing. I can make sample bars. And we go from there. Sometimes I get 10. Okay. Boy, purple sure got dominant on this one. And you know what? Look, purple. I'm not going to complain. All right. Last one. There we go. Must have dolloped a lot of the white there right on that one end. That is not a problem. Which looks like that one. Okay, so done with my cutter. We'll get it out of the way. So very, very, very happy with how these turned out. Maybe cutting them laterally would have been the right thing to do, but I mean, come on guys, these are so pretty. Okay, so now the last step in the embellishment, and that is going to be these guys on here. Let me get some water real quick. Ta-da. Yeah, silly, I know. Okay, what I want to do for these is when I package my soaps, I have a band that goes here. I'm doing the cigar bands, which is going to leave this exposed. What I'd like to do is put a heart right there. This is how we're going to do that. Get some water. Make something of a slurry of soap here. Stick it on. Press down, and that's that. I'm gonna leave it laying flat so that gravity doesn't fight me. But as you can see, I've got the pink ones, but notice the pink wound up on top. So we're going to start in with the purples and the whites. I don't know that I have a favorite bar, but I will tell you that is by far my favorite heart. So let's put that puppy right here. Make the slurry. Press it on. Okay. Okay, one more. It's an awful lot of pink there, but with that purple streak, I think that, no, this one's in great shape. So let's use this one. The ombre effect. Oh gosh, this is so pretty. I think I did a great job on that. There we go. Push that on. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I actually have enough that if I flipped it over, I could probably do one on the other side too, but I want to let these dry. I'm going to make that decision later, but what do you think? Very cool. I love the way these turned out. I love the swirls. I could easily see doing something like this again, but maybe doing a chopstick through and doing a swirl in the batter once it's in the regular mold. I learned a lot from this particular one, and honestly, even though the pink doesn't have scent, it still smells like a really cool bar. So I need to finish beveling the edges that were cut, and these will go in my curing room, which happens to be my office. And yes, my office smells amazing. Thank you so much for watching this video for Kiowa Soapery, and hope you enjoy it. Happy upcoming Valentine's Day, but right now it is the second day of 2025, and I hope it's going to be a good day for you, and also that you have a fabulous year. Thank you.